You should read your Bible, sirs. You can find all types of weird shit in there.
Hey, want to have a rousing discussion about the truth, honor, patriotism?
No, not you. Not you. Your organization's terrible. Quiet. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
How about new, you crazy Dutch bastard?
You ever been mindfucked before?
You are fake news.
The media said what?
Let's see what these deep state characters are up to.
Now you see that evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
Hey, you added a bunch of stuff to that.
So I want to know what you think of Pat Robertson.
I think that I was like, wait, who is that for a second? I was like, oh, I like it.
It's just so badly creepy that I'm like, I have to put like a ghost image of Pat Robertson on here. Ho, 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 ho.
No,
the media said Joe Biden president.
Oh my gosh, he is creepy. He's like that creepy, like older uncle that wants to kiss you on the lips.
I don't want him to be my uncle.
Nobody wants him to be their uncle, but
have you ever seen the video of him where he's talking to the reporter?
Which one?
Where he's pointing at her. He's like, you. He's got like
yes. Mm-hmm.
That's like that. He's like,
yeah. No, I know he's so creepy.
Then the smile's worse than the mean face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of those people. There are several of those like preacher people, like big, like commercially successful preachers, that their smiles are really horrifying.
Joel Osteen's isn't horrifying. It's just, he's got like a Gavin Newsom fake teeth smile. Mm-hmm. It's like, those aren't actually made up.
He's just had work done. So it's just a little like uncanny valley.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is a little creepy. I don't know how to describe Joel Osteen's smile.
Predatory.
That's probably the way that's probably good. Yeah.
I would say predatory.
So what's up? How are you? How has your week been?
I'm pretty good. We're just, stumbling through fall sickness. So far, I've dodged every bullet like Neo, but my time is coming. I'm sure I am. I've dodged RSV and strep and stomach flu. My husband's got a fever now, but somehow I remain healthy.
Well, that's good news.
So,
got a couple comments. Sorry, what we got here? Oh, hello. What's up, Lamar, Constance, Kendrick Lamar? What's happening?
What about you? How have you been? How's your week been?
It's been quite an interesting week. I've been I met up with a friend of mine that from an old job in Orange County over the weekend. That was a lot, or early in the week. That was a lot of fun. But my kids have, as can be expected, my kids have both been sick. So, they didn't go to school all week, and there's really not that much help for the wife and I around here. So it's just one of those things where you're just trying to work, but you really can't at some time, from time to time. The nanny's been sick, so.
Oh man, like everybody.
Hence the Moscow Mule.
I was gonna say, yeah, get some of that alcohol and you clear everything out of your throat. If it can't settle in your throat, you're not gonna get sick. You'll be fine.
That's exactly correct. Mm-hmm. All right, what we got? So there's a lot going on as usual every
There
single week.
is.
I've got one or two things I want to touch on. What's going on in the Lindsay verse, the socialistly awkward verse this week?
Well, so there's been a
News
couple
you can
things.
use.
I know what's going on in the socialist verse. There's actually been tons of news in Idaho and then in just like nationally. I mean, so Republicans took control of their House, and so they want to do an investigation into Hunter Biden, which is like kind of the saddest thing. Like, they finally take control, barely. Definitely not a red wave. We aborted that. But they take control, and the first thing is they want to investigate Hunter Biden's laptop. Like, it's like that sad ex that holds on to something so long, and then finally they see you and they're like, I'm finally going to tell you made me really upset. And you're like, I was like 3 years ago. Like, have you not moved on? Like,
No.
I'm really embarrassed for you right now.
No, they don't. Yeah, there was I think it was Jim Jordan who tweeted that out earlier, wasn't it? That Jim Jordan, I want to say, let me see if
I've
I can
seen a
find
couple
this.
people talking about it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Chrome tab, share. Oh yeah, this guy, he's a fucking real lunatic. So they've got the Republicans vow probe into Biden family dealings.
Oh my god.
I almost want to hear what he's saying here. Let's see what he's got to say.
Where we're headed here. You will not
Can you hear me?
subpoena a sitting president.
Yeah.
Can you hear that? Okay.
Joe Biden, while he's in office. DOJ is not going to get.
That's a real good excuse, by the way. Oh, well, we're not going to subpoena him while he's in office because they don't have anything to subpoena him with.
No, it's just a red herring. Like, well, we're trying, and it's because the Democrats did subpoena Trump, so
they're just trying to get him back. Like remember, like, what was it? A week into his presidency, Marjorie Taylor Greene filed articles of impeachment.
Oh my gosh, I know. And they're bringing, like, she was talking about that again, and I think so. Who else was? Somebody else was talking about it. It is. It's just like it's so sad and ridiculous. This is what they have. They finally regained control, and this is all we have.
They're not even in control yet, and they're already losing it. Let's. I just want to hear what he has to say here.
Give you what you want. You could subpoena Hunter or Jim Biden, and they could either refuse that subpoena or they could take the fifth. How do you get at this story come January 3rd?
Well, I think Congressman Comer has been clear. You look at the suspicious activity reports, and what's interesting, Bill, is for the first time, the Biden administration changed the process and the protocol.
All right, Hunter Biden does have a creepy smile. Let's just be honest.
He is a little, like, he does look a little coked out, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
And we know he has been. So I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, he is a bit, like, kind of creepy. But I don't know. You can always get anybody. Like, they pick, like, pictures of everybody, and, like, AOC will just be walking down the hall, and they'll get, like, kind of a lower side angle, and they're like, look at her, she's plotting to destroy America with socialism.
Yeah, in the middle of her saying, I wonder what I'd like on the menu today, she has this face where she's like,
or it's like thinking, and they're like, look at, she's so bitter.
It's the old Inquirer photos, right? Like when you used to go to the newsstands, you'd see, the Inquirer got good at, like, hey, what's up, Irish Swede? Oh yeah, you're exactly right. Jim's cover-up of sexual abuse at Ohio State. No, we can never talk about that.
No, we can't talk about that because they play by different rules.
No, because anything, look, if you didn't know, on the right, anything that is ever bad about the right is just made up by the left.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
They'll just accuse somebody on the left of doing it, and that's all they'll talk about.
The left is the real racists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those drag shows, that's really what's the danger to children in this country.
Oh, yeah. Those drag shows, I mean, those are just, they're so appalling with their people walking around. you know, and God
Yeah.
forbid that, you know, I don't know how on earth anybody who is gay today managed to become or remain is the right term, to remain gay into their adult years by watching nothing but heterosexual couples on television. I can't imagine how
I
a
would
gay
say
person.
if it's so
Yeah.
suggestible, then there should be no problem because still 90% of media is still very, very hetero cis normative. So
That's right, sweet. Drag queens caught abusing children, 0. How many Dennis
exactly.
Hasterts were found doing that?
I would say how many pastors this week were found doing that?
Yeah. Matt Gaetz said something salient earlier. I haven't pulled it up yet, but I will.
Speaking of abusers.
Yeah, no kidding. Though I was looking at this poll a little bit earlier, and I was thinking to myself when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I want to look at this with my pal Lindsay. Live. I want to see what this poll comes up with, but I don't know if you've seen this or not yet. So here it is.
Let's see.
Elon Musk. I'll go to not. I'm not interested in my. Nobody cares about our tweet. Elon Musk. This is a real.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Okay, I haven't seen the results of this. I saw you posted it.
Neither have I.
I'm going to say that
Let's
yes.
guess.
Okay, I guess yes is 81%. That's what I guess.
People on the left have been leaving Twitter
in droves.
So I'm going to say it's 39% want to say no. So that leaves 61% for yes. And you said 80% yes?
I said, I think. I don't have faith in people.
The loser loses.
Okay.
That's high stakes here.
I know.
All right,
the loser is a loser. Sucks to suck.
We're going to vote no. I'm skewing the poll as we speak here, folks.
This isn't science. Oh, you were way closer. Oh, look. There's a decent-ish amount of people.
It's almost an election result.
Yeah.
It's a 10.5 point swing or 11-point swing.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not surprised. It's better than I would have thought.
4,833,000 people in this district have voted, and so far, President Trump leading 55.4. What if this is like the exact amount of votes? What if it ends up being like the exact amount of votes, and he wins by this margin in 2024? That would be like,
God.
Elon is like posting this. I don't think he's actually gonna. No,
I don't think he will. I think too many people would bail. And he's already in hot water as it is after all of his shenanigans with so many big companies.
Yeah. I read a tweet earlier that somebody, I think it was fake, that he had reinstated Andrew Tate's Twitter. But like, I don't really know that much about Andrew Tate other than he's a misogynistic prick. I know like our friend Ravana doesn't like him, and
No.
I trust her word.
Yeah, no, I have to say allegedly because I don't know if he's been convicted, but there's like 3 or 4 previous partners he's had who've come out and said he just like absolutely beat the shit out of them, which is not shocking considering his rhetoric, but yeah, he's pretty trashy.
I just think that Elon Musk is trying to get clicks.
He is at this point. There is no difference between a 17-year-old shit poster and Elon Musk at this point. They are the same.
They are absolutely the same thing. He's just like Kim, is obviously very deeply involved with Twitter, and like she's just furious right now to what he's doing to this platform. In the last couple of days, it's been like RIP Twitter. Before Twitter dies, hashtag, all this stuff. It's just, I'm not sure who's ruining the company. Well, obviously FTX wins because he ruined the company in 2 days. But
Mhm.
Elon's trying to, he's giving him a run for his money. He's trying to run.
I was gonna say he's really and going out with a bang too. To be honest, like he really is trying in his effort to be bombastic. It's really become the Hindenburg of social media destruction.
It
And
is.
I feel really bad for everyone who that's their main platform. I do. I feel awful for them because I know if that was TikTok, I would be panicking right now because a lot of people have put so much time and effort into that platform. And so to watch all of that just evaporate because Elon is an asshole, like that's awful.
I'm going to try to find this video. Somebody is able to log into my YouTube, as you can see here, and they watch like all these videos in Spanish. So it shows that I've watched all these, like, it's always Formula One stuff. Somewhere I am logged into a Twitter device, or I'm logged into a device that someone else is using to watch my Twitter.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know why. I don't know how. But let me see here if I can find. I think that I had watched. So like I had this video up at the top, and of course this person's watched. Is this the one here I was watching?
I say we'll have to talk about Trump.
Maybe it was this one. Let me see. I'm not a huge fan of this channel. Oh, this is it here. So at least they have they played the comments. So I'll give credit to what's the name of them? Breaking Point, yeah, for this having this video on here. But she's like sucking his dick.
Ugh.
All right. So I'm just gonna play this here. Let's turn the sound on. This is an interesting video, though. So let's get to this.
To less than serious politicians like Matt Gaetz because nobody else has the stomach for it.
I believe that no member of Congress, by House rule, should be allowed to accept a donation for their campaign from a federal lobbyist or a federal political action committee. That money all has strings attached to it, and anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying. And when
okay, real quick. Be it far from me to agree with Matt Gaetz.
I know.
But that's actually a very true statement.
No, he's not. He's not wrong.
members take hundreds of thousands of dollars from lobbyists and PACs, they work for them more than they work for their constituents. And
God, it almost sounds like what I've been saying for 5 years.
Well, every Republican accusation is a confession, so.
Yeah, this is about a minute. Let's just play it through.
guess what? I intend to offer that amendment on the House floor in January, and I already have Democrats ready to vote for it, maybe even all of them. The second thing I would suggest is that if someone is a member of Congress, they should be prohibited from lobbying for life. Why is it so hard to say that you should choose one side or the other to be on? You're either in
AOC said that a couple years ago, and her and Ted Cruz were supposed to partner up on this. That, of course, never happened.
Yeah. I say this is stuff AOC's been saying, and Bernie's been saying this for decades.
Exactly.
in the lawmaking game or you're in the influence peddling game. And those who choose to be in the influence peddling game, go ahead, but you should sacrifice that when you get the privilege to represent 750,000 people. I intend to offer that amendment on January 3rd, and I expect that there will be Democrats voting for it. I will also introduce an amendment to have a ban on members of Congress trading individual stocks. How can we say that that is not something that dilutes our trust in markets and in governance when people are essentially able to bet on the outcomes that they have an ability to somewhat control?
Okay, I just can't stomach this guy.
He's slime with legs.
But he's not wrong in those things.
No, I just wonder what is his angle? Like what? Like this has been AOC and Bernie's shtick forever. Mm-hmm. So like, what is his? Why? Why does he care?
When it comes to like, this is the thing though, and this is where, like, there are certain issues that I think that the Democratic Party, because they're so close to the Republican Party and they're so corporatist, they're like just never going to do, you know, and that's,
yeah.
and that's one of those things. This is a progressive agenda item that the progressives have been talking about for a long time. We've been talking about it on this show since 2017. I'm sure you've been talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's super weird because like when it comes to corporate influence now, selectively on the Republican side, because they'll never ever say anything bad about big oil, right?
No,
like
no.
they'll never say it. You will never hear them say one crass word about Chevron.
No. BMP,
but
they're tight, yo.
Right. But they will definitely say it about like Levi's or Google, right?
Yeah.
Silicon
Silicon Valley. They always want to talk about Silicon Valley.
Right. But we, in this weird way, when it comes to stuff like lobbying, owning, congressmen buying stocks in companies and lobbyists and corporate tax breaks for them, for certain companies, for us in general, that's the difference.
Yeah.
We're closer. I hate saying this, but we're way closer to Boebert, Matt Gaetz, and AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene than we are to our future leader, Hakim Jeffries, when it comes to these things.
Oh,
now that's the only place, but
yeah, no, I've said that for years. Like the Democrat, it's the same thing as student loan debt and all of these like issues that are also tied very closely to financial issues. Like Joe Biden he essentially made student loan debt what it is today. He was very instrumental in that. And so I don't exactly trust it's going away. Why would I? The Democrats were very instrumental in putting it into place. And that's the thing that, like what you're saying, anything where they can make a profit or their corporate donors can make a profit, or they can, receive money for their war chests, they absolutely will do it. So
yeah.
No, I was gonna say they're not interested in that. I mean, and here's the shitty thing is my guess is AOC and Bernie will be like, I mean, we've been saying that shit for years. We agree with that. Like Matt Gaetz is the slimiest, but we agree with this. And I think the Democrats will give him shit over it.
Yeah, this is where like I don't know what the majority that they're going to have is, Lindsay, when it comes to the Republicans. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But like, if it's like, this is what I wonder. I wonder if you can use these 5 slobs, like in a particular way. And what I mean by that is this: I'm talking about like your Boebert, assuming that she wins her recount. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and maybe even Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, this small band. It seems like they're going to be up by somewhere between 4 and 8. If it's 8, that might be a little bit much, but if it's like 4 or 5, you might be able to get some sort of lobbying bill or something where Gaetz went on to talk about, having single issue bills. Like, I'm not super against that. I understand why they do it. I'm not super for it. I kind of got to see, I'd have to read the legislation, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
See what else is slipped in there. But like, possibly you could get these 5 knuckleheads to flip something where it actually passes a good bill through the House. I just don't think that if Matt Gaetz actually brought a bill to the floor that was about like, campaign finance reform or some, I mean, he won't bring that bill to the floor because he gets lots of PAC money, but like something with like making lobbying illegal for former Congress people, which I think a lot of Democrats would vote for. I don't think that it would have a rat's chance in hell of passing because your centrist Democrats and most of your Republicans aren't going to vote for that anyway. So it's
No, that's what I'm saying is I think AOC and Bernie will be like, yeah, we've been saying this shit for years. And then the centrist Democrats will be like, see, the radicals, it's the radical. And then it further discredits what AOC and Bernie have been trying to do, which is part of their goal.
Unfortunately, you're right. They would just use it to say, look, the far left is just as crazy as the far right.
It's just as crazy. Yeah. Of course they would. They constantly try to discredit them. Did you see that Idaho made national news again for something terrible, like always?
What did you do life-changing this time, Lindsay?
There was a quadruple homicide at the University of Idaho. And so far, the investigators have done a terrible job.
Really?
Both, I think, partially with the investigation and with the messaging. So initially, they didn't say. This was Sunday.
I saw the shooting at Virginia.
Yeah, that made national news. No,
yeah, of course, a black guy did it.
This hasn't made any national news. This hasn't nobody really knows about it. They happened on the same day. And the issue
really, I had no idea until you're just saying this right now.
Yeah, no, I made a TikTok about it because the messaging has been horrible. Like, they never had a press conference. They didn't even secure the garbage cans. I get that it's a small town, but they didn't secure the garbage cans, so they were dumped into a garbage truck. And then journalists were like, did you check the garbage? So they stopped the garbage truck, started going through the garbage. So now that's all contaminated. And then they didn't say anything, not even just a general press briefing. They were like, don't worry, this isn't this is an isolated incident. This isn't a danger to the larger community. And then the mayor ran his mouth and was like, it was a crime of passion. And so everyone's like, what the hell does that mean? And was asking him how he came to that. And he's like, I just used deduction. Okay, fantastic, small town mayor. He's been listening to too many.
What did he start with before he started deducing?
Obviously not brain cells. So
terrorism. Oh no,
I know. Yeah,
passion.
Yeah, it was. I know. I'm like domestic something, roommate fight. No, it must have been a crime of passion. But that was all. That's all anybody heard is it's isolated and the community's not in danger. And that's it. And then the coroner came out and was like, it was the most gruesome thing I've ever seen. It was horrifying. So the rumors were going wild. And there was a picture of blood. They said there was so much blood. It was more blood than they've ever seen. And there's a picture of blood dripping down the cement foundation from the walls. So that was all the messaging. So rumors went crazy. People were talking about was this a gang thing? Was this a drug thing? There was even people it's a satanic ritual. There was
of course.
It's Idaho. And there were people saying that, I'm sorry, this is super horrifying, but that they'd use the blood to write these terrible things on the walls. And nobody's saying anything. So parents with students there are freaking out because are their kids really safe? Nobody has any idea. And how do we know this is an isolated incident? You have to give the community something. And so they didn't do anything until one of the fathers of one of the victims said, he released a statement and he was like, can the cops say something like my child wasn't in a gang? We've received, information that this wasn't drug related. They aren't even releasing how they were killed. Can you please do that? Because he's like, I'm fielding phone calls every day and nobody has information and the rumors are horrifying. This is my child. Do your fucking job. So they finally did a press release. First thing on the press release is they're like, well, we aren't sure if this is an isolated incident and we can't say that the community is safe.
Oh, that's just lovely.
Yeah. So first, right off the bat, everything that they've been saying was false.
You're not safe. In fact, you're all going to die tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is college kids were walking to their nighttime classes. When I tell you, students have been abandoning that college all week because they're terrified. I know so many people who their siblings or their children go there and they've been coming home all week because they're I'm not staying up here. The cops don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows what happened. Everybody's freaking out. There wasn't even there's different rumors that like there wasn't even crime scene tape, like they hadn't secured it at all. Like it sounds like it was an absolute disaster.
Sounds like a Uvalde Part 2.
It really, yeah, people are likening it to that. Just absolute fuck. And then the coroner came out today and was talking, like absolutely talking, like just kind of running her mouth about what they found. So then the cops had to come out and be like, yes, actually, what she said is true, like about where the stabbings happened, where they were found, what they think happened. And anyway, so now the cops have had to come out and confirm all of these details. So in so many ways, this was handled the absolute worst it could have possibly been. And it's not getting any media attention at all. Like nothing.
Well, at least it's getting it here. I had heard absolutely nothing about this.
Yeah.
This is completely news to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's happening in a college, obviously, this is a public place where, young people go. So, obviously it's something that you want to have covered so that, the parents know that their kids are safe, and parents are able to determine whether or not this is a safe environment that their children should be in. I wonder like what the motivation is from law enforcement, or like I guess I'm asking, is law enforcement just like not releasing this, or is it the press that's just like, well, we're a small town, we don't want to like scare people? Like what is it either of those things, or?
I think it's the cops, because media has constantly been asking and like approaching them. I have some like professional relationships with some of the journalists in this area, and they have been asking for information. They've been like asking just a general press briefing, just something general that you can tell the public, like let us know, are we safe? Are we not? Should we be taking precautions? Are kids safe? Like, just a general, like, help us to know how concerned we need to be. And I think my personal opinion is, I think the cops didn't want people freaking out while they were investigating. And the general feel of it is they were just completely overwhelmed. They froze. They didn't know what to do. The FBI has come up there now, like, thank God. Hopefully they haven't bungled it enough to make it that big of a problem. But I think it just got completely out of hand. They froze. They did the whole, like, we don't want the public to panic, so let's just say everything is fine. And then they realized, like, we can't actually say that. Like, if somebody else gets murdered, we could be completely screwed if we said that. So
right,
yeah, so everyone is freaking, because nobody knows anything. And they came out and they said they have no suspect, they have no real motive, they don't have anything to go on. They're like, if you have tips, let us know.
So Shamar Moore and Joe Montana got out of their Chevy Blazer. They're like, we're here to fix everything. Yeah, I don't know. This again, first time hearing of it, it's hard for me to like make some sort of analysis with limited information as to what the motivation is. But it isn't surprising to hear that in a rural Christian community that Satanists would be like, that's just like par for the course.
Oh, exactly. I know. When I heard that, I was like, oh my God, you guys, it's 2022. Like, no.
Exactly. The right-wing communities will immediately, and I'm not saying this was right-wingers. That's not my point.
Yeah.
The person's a monster regardless of their political ideology. I don't care if they're a socialist, if they're, a Democrat, if they're a Republican. Could care less. You're a monster.
Yeah, you murdered 4 people. Like,
right. There's monsters on the left. Newsflash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like right-wing communities will like, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about before with like the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden investigation a little bit. And here's what I mean by that. Like, the right is so quick to be like, oh, well, it must be this, the enemy, because, it can never be us. It's always got to be them. And like the right is like, when something comes out with Trump, now, mind you, it feeds into their narrative that we actually don't fucking press a charge on anyone. I know that they just implemented a special counsel today, like a fucking 1,000 years later. After the Southern District of New York just completely, everybody quit on that case. But like the right is like, oh, this is all witch hunt. It's they're always trying to distance themselves and either have it be clearly the other, or the famous other, the famous they, or the notorious THEY, or it's it's fake.
Yeah.
On the left, I'm not saying that doesn't exist in pockets, but by and large, I think that if you and I were to find out that Joe Biden was like doing something illegal, we would be like, lock the fucker up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, catch his ass and throw him in jail. Like that. And that's the thing is, that is the difference, is when we find out someone on the left is a monster, we're like, oh yeah, absolutely, they're trash. We don't want to be associated with them. And when the right finds that out, they're like, you know what? Like, you just hate us because we love freedom. It really is the new, you hate us because we love freedom.
Yeah, that's it. And like, I think that if you are a monster, you should be treated like a monster. That doesn't mean like you don't ever have a problem, right? Like, I have tons of shit that has happened in my life that like I am not like super proud of. Like, I get in arguments with my kids. I have parenting faux pas. I have done stuff at work where I'm like, I've treated people inappropriately and regret it later. Like, everybody's got shit that they do that's like, that was wrong for me to do that, and I'm sorry that happened. And like, nobody is a perfect person.
No.
Right. But the right just like, they give themselves this purity test that it's impossible to fail.
Yeah. Well, and like, my issue is nobody expects anybody to be perfect, but we don't need to elect monsters. There's enough, like, there's good, amazing, great people who can't even get into office because of how their districts have been gerrymandered and the general political climate, that we don't need the absolute scummiest scumbags to be in office. And unfortunately, a lot of times they are. And so, yeah, and I think Democrats slightly, not always, I'm not going to say always, do a slightly better job of saying like, if you're scum, you're out. Like, and Republicans are like, no, but he's our scumbag. Like, we like what he says or what she says or what they do. They will absolutely always cover and always cape for their people. But and they never have any accountability.
It's like, look, if let's say Bernie or AOC or something, like, let's say that like Bernie came out with like a rape case, right? Like,
yeah,
there's evidence that Bernie Sanders raped someone in 1999, or that AOC is guilty of campaign finance fraud or something like that.
Yeah.
We had this happen here in the Bakersfield market. TJ Cox, literally indicted by the FBI, a former congressman here, who had beat David Valadao in 2018. And like, he was in Congress for 2 years, and then Valadao beat him in 2020 and took his seat back. But like, I'm happy that they caught the guy. And it's like, but like, let's say that happened to Bernie or that happened to AOC. That does nothing to the movement. Like, the message, right? Like, just because like one of the people who is the leaders of a narrative ends up to be a shitbag does not mean that what they said is bad, right? What's up, Maze? What's up, Killmonger?
Yeah, hey guys.
And I'll give you a super good example of where the right loses their mind on this. Our fucking Constitution, right? They're like, well, how dare you? They paint this picture of like the framers as being beyond any type of malice, right? Like they have to be perfect people. They ignore
not even like their shit didn't even stink. Like, they were just absolutely demigods.
They're like they're a bunch of Kim Jong-uns. They don't even use the toilet. Like, we can't talk about the fact that George Washington literally had teeth of slave.
And pulled teeth
Like-
from children, slave children.
Right. Now, none of that fact does not take away from the fact that he was a good military leader, right? Like, and I know a lot of people say he wasn't, and I don't want to get into that debate. I'm not trying to make that point. The point I'm trying to make is like two things can be true at the same time. Mikey
Yes.
Famine is
Mikey
right?
loves that.
I can say, you know what, Robert E. Lee, for example, if I'm doing a case study on military leaders, I would be super interested to case study Robert E. Lee's military background and like, you know, what made him a great general.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he wasn't one of the largest pieces of shit in the history of fucking America. Because he was.
Absolutely.
But they're no, we can't talk about that. You can't defame our historic figures.
No.
And it's so stupid.
The problem is because everything for them becomes like a cult of personality. And not even necessarily about people, but like you said, like the founders or the Constitution, like they absolutely hang everything on. We saw it with Trump. We saw it in real time with Trump, and we're seeing it start now with DeSantis. They're going to do the same thing. But they create these cults of personality around the founders, the Constitution, Trump. And then that becomes, because they're in a cult, that becomes part of their personality. So if you say anything about Trump, you're attacking them personally. You're not just saying something about a political leader or the Constitution or George Washington. You are personally attacking their integrity and their patriotism and their inner, like who they are at their core. And so that's why they can't stand for, like, my dad to this day,
You hate America.
will not believe that Thomas Jefferson raped his dead wife's half sister and had several children with her when she was 14 and raised some of them as slaves. Like he will,
it's
like
just CRT.
Yeah, he absolutely like, no, there's no proof. That's just a lie to defame Thomas Jefferson. Like that. If I said that he did those things, it would be almost the same reaction. He cannot believe it. And refuses to even entertain the idea.
But see, that's the thing. Like, why won't you get off that horse? And my parents, your parents, like they're probably like in the same prayer group.
Yeah.
You know, they're mine are, I don't know how QE yours are. Mine are a little QE. But it's
they have
like
a dash of it.
A sprinkling of Q sauce. Just enough hint to give it that extra bit of spice.
Yes.
But like, what would be my end game for making up a story about Thomas Jefferson? What would be like the goal? Is it like, is the end game like, and I'm trying to look at it from their perspective. Like, do they think we're like trying to say that, you know, that every single work of Thomas Jefferson should be thrown into the trash because it just so like you can't, or that we should like, or that by itself is definitive proof that America sucks. Now we know America sucks in a lot of ways but it's not unique to America all the time. America is run by people. People suck.
Yeah. But I even think so many of the people who fit in this category are such black and white thinkers that yes, if Thomas Jefferson did do that, then he was an evil, wicked man, and there's no way God inspired him. And so
that's it.
That never would have happened. So God, what I was raised in Mormonism is specific, Mormonism is its own special little diluted brand of psycho. But I was raised that the entire founding, everything, the genocide of the indigenous people, everything all came about so that the founders could be inspired by God to break away from Britain, to write the Constitution so that Mormonism could be reestablished. That's it. Everything happened so the Mormons could make really unseasoned food and have lots of wives. And that, to break that down, to say, well, no, Thomas Jefferson really did do these things and they were bad. And he also had some progressive for the time ideas about rights for rich white men and that weren't necessarily nobility. And they can't separate that. Both things cannot be true at the same time because they're such black and white thinkers. Either Thomas Jefferson was a demigod, like God was whispering in his ear, or he was a terrible, evil, wicked man, and they just can't be both.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
That's all for tonight. You know, I don't understand that because like when I think of like, I'll put anecdotally speaking, like my parents, I love them to death, right? I love my parents to death. They're amazing. They were amazing parents to me. They are fantastic grandparents. Like I wouldn't trade them for anybody in the fucking world. They also happen to believe that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization and that Candace Owens is like a saint.
Yeah. They love Candace.
But like I can look at both those things, be like, look, I got to work on your worldviews about some other shit. But at the same time, acknowledge that you were fucking astonishingly good parents to me. Right. Like at least as far as a nurturing and care, like they probably taught me things that aren't particularly true because of religion, you know, but like maybe they believed them to be true. Like, oh, Jason, when you die, you're going to go to heaven, right? Or you die, you're going to go to hell or whatever the case may be. Like those things may or may not be true. And it doesn't matter what they presented them as fact and they don't know that they're fact. That was probably wrong. But it doesn't mean like, you know what? You told me that you told me that is an emphatically true fact that heaven exists. I know now in my adult years that that's not true. So, you know what? I'm going to just, I'm never going to let you see the kids.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be that extreme.
But they can't do that. No, but like as a reverse on that, like, okay, so the last time we spent Christmas with my parents was 7 years ago. And they're very religious. We are not at all religious. But that's fine. I know that they have very specific religious things they're going to do around Christmas, and I'm great with that. It was fine. I was like, if you guys want us to be there, great. If not, I think Christmas was actually on Sunday that day. I was like, we won't be going to church, but like, you enjoy church when you come back. Like we can do all the things they're going to read, you know, the Christmas story in the Bible, all of this stuff. And so they said, they're like, oh, we're going to go read the Christmas story. I was like, okay, that's great. Like, we'll just hang up here. When you guys are done, we'll like do presents and stuff. And that was it. Like, I was like, do whatever you want in your home. We'll just hang here. And afterwards, my parents were like, hey, I just don't think it's a good idea if we do religious holidays together anymore. And I was like, okay, but why? And they're like, well, because like we didn't feel supported in our beliefs. And I was like, whoa. Like I never questioned it. I never said a word about it. I didn't bring it up at all. Like you told me you were doing stuff. I said, that's great. We'll just hang out upstairs. You let us know when you're done and we'll come join it. And they were like, well, but we just didn't feel like that was supportive. It made us feel weird about doing our traditions in our home because you didn't participate. And I'm like, okay, that's entirely a you thing. That's not a me thing. And they're like, well, we just think it's better if we don't do religious holidays with you. So like my parents are such black and white thinkers. They can't separate that. They can't separate that. I was like, great. You do your traditions. I know they're your traditions. I support you in it. We'll just be quiet over here. When you're done, let us know. Like it can't be both. You have to be engaged and completely in alignment with their belief system, or they just can't do religious holidays with you. And so like it plays out all over in their life that when you're that black and white of a thinker, you can't separate different things about different relationships or different ideas, or these ideas that people who do terrible things can also do good things, or people who are mediocre can have a good idea. Like you just can't. And it is so incredibly frustrating because it is just like an emotional maturity thing.
Yeah, that's comment Black Southpaw. I was literally going to say that kind of blows.
No, it really does. Like
it's and I'm really sorry that happened to you, because like I I don't like, I'm not exactly an atheist, right? Like I don't, I'm
Yeah.
super agnostic. Like my difference from you and like from Mikey is, and I think Haas and I are very similarly aligned in that, like, I don't, whether God exists or not, to me is of not super huge importance when it comes to like living your life, because it's he is, if he exists, he is not transcendent in the world. That's
Yeah.
overtly obvious.
Yeah.
You know, now people can believe the prayer works or not work, and like that's on you. I prayed to win $1 million. Didn't happen. Okay, so you know, if I prayed, you know, all the Republican candidates for office, they all prayed that their candidate would win. Some won, some lost. They give God credit for the ones that won, but never the penalty for the ones that lost.
Well, God's too
right?
busy helping Mormons find their car keys, so he can't answer all the prayers.
That yes, and you know, it's there. A few weeks ago, there was I forget who played on. I think it was Thursday Night Football. I know it was the Broncos, and I want to say they played the Chargers, and the kicker for the Chargers, I think it was the Chargers, won the game. And after the game was over, they interviewed him. He was like, first of all, I just want to give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for helping us with this win. And I'm like, hold on. Russell Wilson is like the most overtly Christian guy in the universe. Wouldn't God have chose Russell Wilson to win that game? He plays for the other team.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I don't, but the point of the matter is, like, it doesn't matter that stuff. I can go to Christmas and like, I don't have a problem with like, you know, Melissa, she likes to like play Christian music in the car. If that's what makes you happy, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to take that away from you. It's when it becomes socially damaging is when it becomes a problem. Right.
Oh, exactly.
And when you tell people that, hey, if you don't believe the same thing as I believe, that you now are less, or you have less rights, or both. And that's where I start to draw the line, because like for every single person who believes in Christ, you have another person who is Muslim, and you have another person who believes in Judaism, and another person who believes in Hinduism or in Shinto or whatever the case may be. And they all believe it just as devoutly, and they all can't be right. So like, until I die and I know for sure, or don't know anything because there's blackness, I can't really make a judgment on it. And in the meantime, whether or not you want to attribute, you know, certain holidays and do certain things on certain holidays means nothing to me. I have no problem with like praying on Thanksgiving. Like, I'll bow my head and be like, okay, you know, I'll be respectful to the prayer. I don't actually believe that God is going to bless that food any differently than he has any other meal.
It's not going to be like additionally nutritious. It doesn't work that way.
Like, you know, I ate the fucking cranberry sauce, man. And like my 6-pack just tightened up on me and it came back.
I know. We used to joke, because Mormons they'll be like having donuts and hot chocolate. And they'll be like, please bless this food to nourish and strengthen our bodies. And be like, God's just going to turn it into a carrot on the way down. It'll be just fine.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And that's the same thing. Like, yeah, at my parents' house when they're praying, I'm like, kids, just be quiet. We just sit there. And
the Holy Spirit is MSG.
Exactly. But yeah, that's the thing too, is like, and that's kind of something I've always said is like, you know what, I don't care what people believe. You know what, I think crystals and all of that, I don't think that's real. But the people who believe in that have never told me I'm going to hell. So like, I don't care. Like, if it makes you feel better and it gives you a sense of purpose and you feel like you have a little bit of control over your life, I don't actually care. It's when you want to make laws about what I can do, or you want to say I am lesser of a person. That's when I have a problem.
Yeah, and Mikey's right again. If you don't charge the crystals in the full moon, they don't really do much for you.
I know. Right? It's like called moon bathing. It's a whole ceremony. I have a friend who does it, and it's like a whole thing. So
and it's like there, but like when I have some friends who, I don't know if they're really friends, but I have people who I've worked with in the past who I know. I don't like talk to them every day, so I'm not going to say like, oh, they're a good friend of mine. That's a lie. But I know people who I'm friendly with who like, go by their Native American name, and they'll be like, the great, the spirit of the wolf is this, and like a guy or some other animal or whatever. And it's like, that's fine. You want to believe that? I don't fucking believe it. But I also don't see Native Americans writing laws to take people's rights away. So that's why I go so hard against Christianity, because it just so happens, newsflash, I live in a country that advertises itself as being Christian and has Christian morals. And like, they want to like reshape the laws of this country to fit their own doctrine.
Oh, exactly.
And
they want all of us
that's
to
where I
live.
don't.
Yeah, they want all of us to live the tenets of their religion. And Mikey, yes, you are right. Indigenous religions weren't made up on Pinterest. That's true. That's a fact.
Yes.
So, but no, I know I go hard against Mormonism. I go hard against Christianity because those are the religions that have impacted my life. And those are the religions that are telling myself that I'm an abomination, telling my children they're abominations, that want to make rules about what I can do with my body. No Indigenous person has ever said like women should have this amount of control over their bodies.
Right.
So
now, if I will tell you, if they had power, they might, because power has a way to do that to people, right? So,
but I mean,
like,
but Indigenous religions are so many of them are like matriarchal, and I don't know if they would, because we've seen very specific.
They consist of people, and as I said before, people suck.
But I mean, they're different. I don't know, and at least what I've seen, they're different institutionally than like Abrahamic religions. So like, I'm sure people within them would abuse their power.
Right.
But they're also more like not the same. It's a very loose analogy, but more like Buddhist, like kind of where it's more of like a philosophy on life.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Not like here's a list of rules and you have to do this or you're going to burn in hell forever. And I know like there's so many Indigenous religions, so that was a lot of really broad statements to make about them.
Right.
But they're
very, and I don't want to group in Indigenous religions with like European pagan religions, because obviously they're very different there too. But they run along the same curve, and generally that curve was, we need to survive till tomorrow. So let's be at harmony as we do so.
And it was a lot of these older religions were like, here's some knowledge you need so you can survive. Here's how we're explaining things that we have no idea why they happen. Here's why everyone dies all the goddamn time and it doesn't make any sense and it's terrible. And here's something to give you some sense of purpose.
Right. The difference with the Abrahamic religions is that, and I believe that in some of the Asian faiths, like Shinto, that some of this exists as well, though I'm so far removed from my studies on this that I could be misspeaking here. So I'll speak about what I know. The Abrahamic religions are very institutional.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for Islam, that goes for Judaism, and that goes for Christianity.
Yeah.
They are extremely systemic control. Like they want to control the system that is below them. They create hierarchies. They create classes. They create a good and a bad. They create, leadership positions, that sort of thing. And anything that doesn't subscribe to that belief system is the infamous they. Yeah. And, so they are very unique in that particular standpoint.
Yes.
But what I will say is that I would imagine that if you were to look at other faiths around the world that are those who are more paganistic, we may be just like, because like the Egyptian faiths were not Abrahamic. They were also very systemic in their faith. Right. So like they're not benign at all.
Greek, really. I mean, they had rules. They had specific things that
they literally said, Egyptian faith literally said, and again, this is, it's different because it's monotheistic or polytheistic and not monotheistic, but like they would literally say that the emperor was, or that the pharaoh was a god, right?
Yeah.
The pharaohs would prop themselves up as being part of the deity.
Yeah.
And they did that for power. So
Yeah.
we happen to know that because it's written. Sumerian faiths in ancient Sumeria, modern day Mesopotamia, or I'm sorry, Mesopotamia at the time, and modern day Iran and Iraq. They did the same type of shit, and like it's. So I think that people have a common thread throughout human history of being pretty shitty,
Yeah.
and I think that if you dug deep enough, you probably find a lot of shittiness in pretty much every tribe of people. You're going to find just as many assholes who are Red Sox fans as Yankees fans, as Manchester United fans, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like,
I think the hard thing is I think it's similar to that same argument because part of religion is to create order within a society. And so part of that is there is some restriction on what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior within every religion. That's just part of their function. And so I just think it's to say that everyone would, I think it's the same thing as saying like if women were more in charge, that they would treat men how men have treated women, or that like if people of color in the United States were in the position that white people were, that they would treat white people the same way as white people treat people of color. I think it's not accurate.
I don't think that's accurate either, because we don't have any history to show that would be true, and we do have the history that we have.
Yeah.
So that is a different thing to my eye. That is wishful thinking, right? Like it's just because I don't think that, like, let's say that we lived in like white man's burden world, right? Where like the John Travolta movie, where white people were in the place of black people. Let's say that we lived in that world. It would be wishful thinking on behalf of white people to say that they would have been exactly the same, and they do that in order to feel better about themselves.
Exactly.
We don't have any history to prove that that's true. The only history is the history that we have, but we have a lot of white people who have done some amazingly good things too. And like,
I don't think they're all bad. But it is,
right.
It is a conservative fear tactic. Like
right.
If other religions, if there's other religions that are more popular in Christianity, well, they're just going to treat us as bad. We're going to be the oppressed group, or, when white people become the minority in this country, then they're going to be treated badly. It's right. A fear tactic. And right. I mean, I, for one, would welcome our Wiccan overlords after living in Christianity. I'd like to see what would happen. Like,
well they do it a lot.
Let's try it out for a minute.
I'm fine with it, right? Because we know that what we deal with now, like white people will say this all the time. They'll be like, well, slavery was a worldwide phenomenon, right? That's true. But chattel slavery was not a worldwide phenomenon. That is uniquely, that is uniquely fucking American.
It's to disperse like that feeling of like, oh, what, like this patriotism I feel and what I've built like my ideals and beliefs on has a rotten core. Like it's like what we were talking about before. They can't make that okay. So if we disperse this as it's everyone's problem, it's not my problem, it's not my country's problem, then they're able to sleep well at night, like, still being a hero in their minds. So
yeah. And that's the part that I don't understand. Like why can't you just, I was saying on the Wednesday show, I met some German guys, and like I jokingly brought Toeism. That's right.
Oh my God. The one true religion is Toeism. All hail the Queen of Toes. I can't believe that has become the thread. Well, in my religion, all we do is drink Diet Coke and do ASMR. So as much or as little as you want.
Don't worry, listeners, before we log off here, and Lindsay's got to head out of here in about 15, 20 minutes. You will get your ASMR fix before the night.
I know. I listened to it though. I'm not good at this. Isn't a good mic for ASMR, or I'm not good at ASMR, which actually is probably more likely.
I'm certainly not going to fucking do it. So I'm too totally masculine. But
there are some guys who do it with British accents.
Sure. I noticed though, I'm not going to make any judgments at this point in time because I don't know the details of this yet. Though and I'm shifting topics here. Sorry. Yesterday I logged in as we were logging out of Twitch, and Mikey's going to laugh at me and say, "Oh, see, I saw you. You're so into like thirst traps." But when you're logging out of Twitch, you see like all of the big shows. It shows you all the big shows that have thousands and thousands of people watching them. Like Hassan and a few others. And I saw Amarath was back, and I'm like, oh, Amarath's back. So I clicked on it. Because like Amarath had left Twitch about a month or so ago and said that her husband was forcing her to do like all the swimsuit and shower stuff. And all she wanted to do is do video games and stuff.
Yeah.
So I flipped it on just to kind of see like what the content was going on there now. It's the same thing. Swimsuits just sitting there in the bathtub. So now I am wondering what's going on. Like, is she doing this again because she wants to do it? Or was the whole thing about the husband maybe not
like
particularly true? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm maybe when she first went live, she gave an explainer video. I haven't listened to that explainer video.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make any judgments, though I will say, like, I just saw that and it was surprising to me because she had said she was being forced into doing this stuff. And like, I don't give a fuck if she does it. I honestly don't.
Yeah. But you want it to be that she's doing it because she wants to do it. That's like the whole point is if you want to do it, sure. Who cares? Nobody cares.
And part of it is maybe concern. Like maybe is the husband, is she back with the husband and the husband's like, you know what? Well, you better get that fucking ass back on stream. Well, I don't know what any of this is. So I just found it really interesting and something I'll look into, but like, I don't know if anybody had any in the chats saw
info?
it.
Yeah. No, it definitely, I mean, it's that balance of like, is it to stir up drama? Because part of that is if you get some, like all publicity is good publicity. If people are talking about you, that's a good thing on social media. So stirring up drama, or was it like one of those where like abused spouses stay with their abuser and go back so many times that she left and then went back, or drew that boundary and then he said, no, you're going to do this. So I mean, that's potentially concerning if she said no and then she's back. You're muted.
Yeah, I don't know, and I just pulled the channel up, so I'll just do a quick like 2-second share just to see there's an ad playing right now because I don't subscribe to that channel. But let's see. So this is what's happening there. One more second on the ad, and then changing into cute bikini. Okay, so there it is, right? And this is what I'm talking about for those who don't know. Like when you I'm not even logged in here, as you can see over here. So it's like these are just the big channels that pop up, right?
Yeah.
So now I do think it's unfortunate that she is like the biggest woman TikToker and like all these other ones are guys. Like, well, there's one here that's around the same, but like I don't understand why men's voices are so much more important to people than women's voices are.
That's our society. We love hearing what men have to say. And women
did I say
bitches.
TikTok? Sorry.
You did. That's okay. We all knew you meant. Twitch.
But so like I don't know. Like I'm gonna reserve judgment because I don't have enough facts. But if that was bullshit, that's real fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like I hope it wasn't. Maybe she's just like, you know what? Part of me enjoyed doing it, or I want the money, or I don't give a fuck what it is. But it's like, I don't know.
No, I hope it's not.
Have to tread lightly.
No, I hope it's not either, just because women already have a hard enough time being believed, even when there's overwhelming evidence, even when there's corroborating evidence. And like, I really hope it's not, because then there's situations like this that if it was just like, oh, it's just a ploy to get like people talking about me. that just makes it that much more difficult. Not that I want her to be in a situation where she's being forced to do something she doesn't want to do, but making those accusations just to draw attention to yourself. And that's rare. I know that's very rare, but then that creates a situation where then everyone can be like, the next time somebody says something like that, they can be like, really, are you just doing that for attention? And that makes it so much harder to leave those situations.
Yeah. And I don't, like I said, I'm not going to make any accusations, but I can see.
Oh, her fans got her lawyers?
She, Idaho,
oh my gosh.
Miss Pro runner-up. She does have the best toes. So Lindsay's, don't worry. At the end of the show, Lindsay's toes will make their public service announcement as usual.
They will not. No, we're not. I'm not doing toe stuff.
I don't think you're allowed to. So
I say we talked about this. Like,
yeah,
I'm not doing toe stuff, Mikey. God, I would never.
Yeah, she does finger stuff.
Here, without
fingers,
money.
I do with my hand toes.
Yeah, the little digits on my hands.
Right,
the toes of the fingers, the toes of the hands.
All right. You know, if I were a less evolved primate, these would also be toes. But
okay, but Dutch, we should test this out and see if you could show toes. Is it lady toes?
I'm not showing my fucking toes.
Just for a second, Mikey. What are the rules? Is it all toes or is it lady toes? Inquiring minds need to know. I know he'll answer. That's why I asked. No.
He's just so you know what I think it is. So like, what if I wanted to do a channel on like gym shoes?
Okay, no toes.
What if I want to do a gym shoe channel? I can't do a gym shoe channel. Like, hey, look, I tried on these different shoes today. Here they are.
Okay,
red and green.
What if it's like toes with paint on them so they look like people?
Yeah,
like body paint stuff. I'm just really curious.
We're trying to get around the terms of service.
No,
here comes Mikey.
No. In English, no. In Spanish, no. In Russian, niet.
Mikey, you're being a fun sucker.
Palitas.
I know I'm the referee. I'm the hall monitor. I'm the kid that nobody likes. But guess what? The fucking halls run on time when I'm around. All right. And I make sure we don't have any
party pooper
channel strikes against
tons of mice almost got what he wanted, and Mikey came in and stepped on it with his toes of all things.
You know what, Tons? You're a very convincing, charming guy. You can get those pictures if you needed to. You ain't got to do it on the screen. You know.
Okay, so I'm just really curious though, like why the toes and not other
It's a sex thing.
But okay, thank you, Mikey.
People get off to women's feet.
No, I know that.
They look at the feet and then they masturbate.
No, but this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued and appalled. But like that seems like a weird line. But like bikinis are cool. I'm just saying it's kind of a weird line.
So much, I tell everybody, they're like, "Oh, Ollie, how are you so good with women? You want to know how I'm so good with women? I shut the fuck up. I memorize the patterns. Does my wife make sense all the time? No. Do my sisters and mothers and all the women around me? No.
But y'all say that, but you don't want us to. You got to keep it interesting.
I just memorize the patterns and I say, you want that, don't you? And she says, how'd you know? I was like, memorize the pattern.
I know. No.
The terms of service are much the same and they're constantly changing. Just memorize the pattern. Just know what to stay away from and keep it moving. Unless you had like a whole channel devoted to like filing your toenails, then yeah, you'll just have to talk about something else. If you want our DMs, dude, just slide in there. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Do a LeBron James.
I don't do toe things. I don't know how this happened because I don't. You guys.
Tons. Come on. Yeah, you know. She can't say that she does, you know.
Yeah.
So
oh my God.
She would never admit that on air that she does.
Tons of Mice is like that. Is like Will Smith in the the 6 degrees of separation. He's like, I know you don't do toes. That's what makes it fun, right?
Exactly. I was gonna say, I know if I did, it'd be like, yeah, just like hit up my channel.
No, but like Mikey, since you crashed the party, your thoughts on her being back?
Who?
You did call it. You said you thought she'd be back, and you were correct.
Dude, you ain't turning down fucking 6-figure checks. I don't care what the fuck it is. It's a 6-figure check. And then want to see my tits? You goddamn right I'm back in that fucking hot tub. You goddamn right. And guess what? I ain't doing with that 6-figure check? Splitting it with his punk ass. We back in this bitch and we finna make some money. She finna get rich. She's already rich. Who turns down? Who says, you know what? I don't want the winning bingo card. Give it to someone else this time. I want to start from the beginning. Fuck. No, you take the card with the fucking 4 dots already fucking dotted in. That's what she's doing. She's cashing in.
Little Dragon, you're exactly correct. I'll pay not to see Mikey.
Yes, I was going to say, Mikey, this could be a cash grab for you.
Yeah, let this be a warning to everybody. Next week, I will be in a hot tub unless that Patreon starts singing. I'm just saying, y'all gonna be.
I really think we could. This is how we're gonna make money, Mikey.
No,
we need you to get a hot tub.
I'm gonna start mailing my body hair to every single one of you unless you start sending money.
I just changed my address, by the way.
I ain't gonna. Hey, I'll find you.
It's like,
I'll find
dear postman, please forward to new address.
Yeah.
This is of vital importance.
I think this is great. I think the Mikey threats could be the way that we really start pulling in views. Like just a threat every week. Like if you aren't sending money, Mikey's going to do something, and we just see what it is.
So
and then we talk politics, of course. But
money into Patreon. Thanks, tons. And I'm typically the negative Nancy about everything because I'm a hyper realist and it's crippling. But as much as we look at Amaranth as like, oh, come on, you got to do that to get views.
See, I'm more into just like,
she may not even care about Twitch. And then someone says, hey, why don't you get on Twitch? Yeah, it's working for all these other, and then she's the number one. Why would you turn it off? I'm a musician, right? So if someone came up to me and said, hey man, I really want you to like do Merry Christmas, and I'm an atheist, but they got that 6-figure check. How many ho-ho-hos did you want? Or in the jingle, how merry is the Christmas? Hold on, let me get in here. I will marry the fuck out of a Christmas for fucking 6 figures.
By the way, when does the war on Christmas begin?
Oh, it's already started.
Oh, we started before Thanksgiving now.
Oh, speaking of the war on Christmas, good luck with your red cups at Starbucks, you little.
I got a green one today.
It's 200. Or what was it? 200 people walked out.
Oh, I know. Good for them.
You better let them unionize, or they're gonna shut this whole Christmas conspiracy down, baby. Ain't gonna be no Merry Christmas controversy.
Well, we will. For those of you out there, the war on Christmas here starts on Thanksgiving Eve, a week from 2 days ago, on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving Eve. Let's call it that. Our normal stream night. We're going to start a little bit early, and we're going to stream probably for like 4 or 5 hours. We're just drinking. We're just drinking, talking shit. We're going to have lots and lots of guests pop in. I think Lindsay said she's going to jump in for a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in.
Some people will jump in for 5 minutes. Other people just like, hey, you know what? I'm from this other show. I just want to say hi to you guys. Other people will be there for a very long time. So it's always a lot of fun. We have a blast. Isla will be fucking hammered about 45 minutes into the show, and her camera will just be passed out.
Joke's on you. She shows up drunk. It took you 45 minutes to notice.
Yeah, that's probably true. So join us on Wednesday. You know, I'm not even against having folks who are normally in the chat pop in and say hi for a sec with
for the holidays.
appropriate donation.
Mikey came in. Well, we could do that now. I think that's a great idea. Mikey came in because I was towing the line. So he wanted to see. Yeah.
Is
So he had to
is
tell
that the
me
name of the
no.
new? Just change the name of the show to Towing the Line.
Towing the line. Oh my god.
When the great, it's a good comment. Tons of mice. Go ahead. You were about to read it, Lindsay, I think.
Oh, no, I wasn't, but I am now. Thanksgiving Eve, when the turkey comes down the chimney and begins a roasting. It's
Correct.
true.
That is correct.
It's when the great pumpkin turns into the great pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie
We don't
Brown.
need pumpkin pie.
When the great sweet potato
There you
comes
go.
down the chimney and
There you
becomes.
go.
I actually have had, real quick, I had pumpkin sweet potato pie at a restaurant here in town that does like barbecue. They have a pumpkin sweet potato pie, and it's actually really good. But
have you guys had cinnamon pie?
That sounds made up.
No, it's what I make because pumpkin pie is not that great. I make cinnamon pie, and it's amazing.
Y'all don't got no sweet potatoes by you?
I live in Idaho. I don't.
Yeah,
think
she's
so.
got.
You got every kind of potato known to man. It's Idaho.
No, they only make the gross ones that you used
Russet.
to make French fries.
They outlawed.
They don't even have like
there
red
during Jim
potatoes
Crow.
here.
Bunch of hippies running around playing sweet
I
potatoes.
was
Get out
like,
of here, liberals.
remember all the Confederates and the Ku Klux Klan? They like moved to Idaho so they wouldn't be like punished because it was just a territory. So yeah, no, we don't do that here.
In the South, they had Jim Crow laws. In Idaho, they had sweet potato laws. They were the same, but they just called them
Now,
that.
Lindsay, don't react right away. I want you to hear this all the way through.
Okay.
What if you started a black market in Idaho for sweet potatoes? I'm just saying. I know a guy with connections. I can get a truck of sweet potatoes up to.
I'm gonna need it. Yeah, I'm gonna need a dealer, but I think
I'm the plug.
people here.
We've got a few fentanyl candy makers.
I was gonna say Idaho has made all these substances illicit, and they're still everywhere. So I think there could be a huge market.
I'm just saying.
There's money to be made.
We're leaving money on the table by not selling sweet potatoes, but not selling them yams under the table.
Okay, how about you promise to not get into a hot tub while we sell yams or sweet potatoes in Idaho? I think we could
sell it to them by the bag.
Yeah,
we could take one whole, because sweet potatoes are much bigger than a regular potato. So you take a potato, you cut it up, put it in the baggies, and then we just sell it by the slice.
Yeah,
by a gram.
About an ounce.
Oh yeah, exactly. Little dime bags.
No,
of
we
sweet
sell
potatoes.
it by the tablespoon.
We got a 15. We got a 2 for 15 going on. All right, we got to roll in a minute, but I do want to bring up one real quick thing before we roll because I want to talk about this a minute ago. And since Mikey's here, I don't know how much you know about this, but
everything.
So Nancy Pelosi stepped down, or is stepping down from. She's not going to be speaker anymore, obviously because they lost the House. But she's also stepping down from leadership. Hakim Jeffries is taking over. For those that don't know, Hakim Jeffries
no, never mind.
is over the fucking top anti-progressive. Like this guy has
Nancy Pelosi.
She absolutely is, but she's not as bad as Hakim Jeffries. And I will say, like, Nancy Pelosi, even though she's not a huge fan of progressive agenda, like Bernie, she was cool with AOC and she was cool with Ilhan Omar. Reason why is because when AOC got into office, a lot of people don't know this, but Crowley, who AOC beat, was literally trying to like take Democratic leadership from Nancy Pelosi. When AOC beat Crowley, that actually helped Pelosi, right? And with Ilhan Omar, they like bonded over that. They went, I forgot where they went, like Ghana or Sudan or something like that. I forget where it was they went, but
that country, Africa.
It was one of the African.
I'm gonna guess it might be Sudan. I think her heritage is Sudanese.
Yeah,
but I know that Ilhan Omar and Nancy Pelosi, like, they went there together, and I think they like buddied up, right? Like they became close to each other. And Ilhan Omar has supported Nancy Pelosi despite the agenda differences, and Nancy Pelosi has defended Ilhan Omar quite a few times. So this, like, remember all about the Benjamins comment and stuff like that. Like she had Ilhan Omar's back in those cases. Hakim Jeffries, like, literally is at the forefront of running people against progressives who try to take office. So what I'm wondering is what your guys' thoughts are on Hakim Jeffries taking over, and like, is he going to like unify this Democratic Party, or do you think he's going to continue this agenda? Because I hope it's the prior, but I fear it's the latter.
I'm frustrated because I think quite a few progressives won their races. And so within the Democratic Party, there are more progressive voices, but I think he's going to just tell them get in line, which will unnecessarily cause some division within the party when we could. That's already happening with Republicans. Let them, they're fighting over Trump. They're fighting over their party. Let them do that. We can capitalize on that instead of the Democrats trying to like silence the progressives, which is always what happens. It's the Republicans don't have to because the Democrats do it for them. So I kind of think that's what's going to happen.
I hope so.
I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong.
I was going to say, I hope you're wrong. I have a bad feeling that you're right. I mean, he'll never come out and say, oh yeah, I don't like the Bernie wing, but like he has kind of like, he was very active and very upset about Summer Lee, you know, and a few others. So it's like, I don't hate Hakim Jeffries, but at the same time, like I know where he stands as far as like the corporate Dems versus the progressive Dems. So
new boss,
I don't know. Mikey, do you have a thought?
New boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah.
If you thought something was going to change from corporate Democrats, I got a bridge to sell you.
No, I was going to say. They would never. She wouldn't have stepped down if she thought the person taking over was going to steer the party in a different direction. She just wouldn't have.
They love AOC and Ilhan Omar so much. Why not thrust them into leadership positions? Why not put them in? Because they don't want them in positions. They want them to raise money. They need to be the little Democratic amaranths out there running around raising money. That's what they're for.
And energizing the base. Like give them just enough leash to energize the base, and then just completely stop them from being able to do anything.
Remember,
back in Washington,
we ain't heard shit from AOC ever since she said there was people helping the people on January 6th, and then we're not talking about it. When are we going to talk about it? And they said, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And we ain't heard shit else from her.
Yeah.
But she was outside of the fucking the halls of Congress, the Capitol building, cursing, mad, like stomping her heel on the floor, pissed off, and no one heard of it, and we never heard from her again. Never seen her on the national stage again. Yo, y'all can't fool me. I'm stupid, but I ain't dumb.
Nope. All right. Lindsay has to roll, so give us your parting shots.
Yep. Oh, hey, well, we gotta do the ASMR.
Yes, this is what you're.
This is what you all tuned in for. I know it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us on Wednesday. Oh my God, Mikey, you're ruining it.
I'm muting him.
Tune in on Wednesday. Happy holidays, everyone. And then there you go. There's your ASMR, everybody. Check me out on Socialistly Awkward.
I couldn't hear you. Can you say that louder? It sounded like you was whispering. Couldn't really tell what you were saying. If you were just
You're not. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. It's about the ASMR brain tingles. No, the words don't matter.
All right, my friend. We will see you. We'll see you on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday.